So hello, let's do this. What I want to do today is tell a little story and just fimble around on this thing until I find some good feeling notes that I can play you something with. But until then, I'm gonna tell you guys a story while I find this. So, that's a nice one. So, what I do every day is just look for inspiration. Right? I'm an actor. I'm a writer, and I'm a songwriter now apparently, and I'm a musician and whatever else, like all everything I like. I'm a painter, um, an amateur drum artist, and I have a lot of fun with all the things that I try out, right? Because I really think that it's all about just going with the flow and doing whatever I want to do in the moment when I feel like it, and yeah, that's just how I like living my life, right? But it gets me into some funny situations, and I shouldn't have said but because it's not contradictory. It's just and it leads me into these situations sometimes, right? Where I'm like, wait, and how did I get here? But it's so fun to be there, right? And so, man, I was thinking about this time. So this isn't too long ago. I All right, story begins here, guys. So it's Thursday, and I'm thinking, man, I want to do something cool this weekend. I want to go someplace. I want to feel something, right? I want to have some action. I want to have that feeling that yeah, I'm in the middle of the world right now. Like this is where it's going on. And so I hit up a friend of mine. Let's call him Ant Man, because he always knows what's going on. He had invited me to a rave once that I just loved, and it was this wild rave where we chanted away the police and things like that. Things happened. So I text him, and I feel good about it. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I want to do something this weekend. Do you know of anything going on, right? And so 10 minutes later, he's like, dude, so funny. I just thought of you. Yeah, there's this rave going on, this day rave, if you want to join. And I was like, yeah, sure. Let me join you guys. So I met him up in this place where I live. It's not too far from here, and it's kind of like one of those suburbs that really is part of the city, but weirdly enough, it looks like a suburb. Like it's quiet and there's nothing going on, even though it's like in the city. And when there's something going on, it's like a shady 2 a.m. conversation between two dudes in black by a car, like one of those places. And so we go to a park there, and I get there and I see these magnificent um, drapes, right? And they're just hung on this string that's just strung from tree to tree, and it's these like psychedelic images drawn onto it, and there's a DJ in the middle of this all just going at it, and he has some killer sound system with him. And so I'm just vibing, sitting there thinking, and just eating and talking with my friends. And I knew that this was the kind of place where stuff could go down, but I was pretty surprised about what I saw, man, what I'm gonna tell you guys. So there was some water right behind us, right? We sat basically if the DJ's here and the water's here, we were right in the middle of both of those. So you had people arriving in boats and coming to the docks and then just mounting the docks and coming over to the party, and they had to walk by us. So we'd like see these guys just emerge from the water and just come to the rave. And we were sitting there on this like picnic blanket, right? The checkered ones, the red and whites, the nostalgic ones, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching all these wet people come out of the water and just go to the rave, and I'm thinking, how is this so known, right? And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I just observe the people, and some of them are like naked in the water and coming out and looking like they've just been reborn, and some people are arriving in boats, and they miss the exit, and then there's a waterfall like 100 meters or 100 yards further away, right? And you're like, oh my gosh. So there's all this stuff going on, right? And so I start to focus on each story going on at this place because there were multiple stories going on simultaneously, all with the same ending, right? So I'm here at this day rave and I look to my left and I see this group of youngsters, right? And it looks like it's their first rave and they're kind of nervous and they're discussing something. They're not sure if they should do it or not. They're not sure how much would be good. And I'm just hearing these bits of information and putting it together and looking at each of them and just letting the story come together. And then I'm like, okay. And then I look to my right and I see this shady group of dudes. They're maybe like in their 40s. They have no hair, maybe just like one of those weird long cornrows from the center of their head, but everything else is shaved, right? And they got like a beard down to here. And I'm listening to these guys, and they all have like AC/DC t-shirts, and they're like, "Hey, did you know like those people before?" And they're like, "No, no, no, we didn't know them." And the dude who's in the group says like, "Yeah, but where are they sitting? They said they'd be here. They said they wanted it for here." And so they're looking around, and I'm like, "Oh, are they looking for these guys?" Right? Now I turn my head to the middle, and I see this guy who's just dancing. He's dancing, he's dancing, he's dancing right in front of the box, right in front of the music sound system. And he's just doing these old school steps from the 80s. And I look at him and he has these like pepper what is it called? Salt and pepper hair, right? Gray hair, and he's looking like to be about in his 50s, 60s, but he's having a good time, a great time. And he's dancing with a little kid on his shoulders, and he's looking happy, right? And I look to the back and there's this little girl playing with a toy. And the toy is like this weird kind of puppet that you can pull out, like just pull on and it just pops open and you have like two individual puppets so it can multiply. And she's playing with this and she seems like kind of lonely because she'd always like take away half of the puppet, put it down, play with one, and then look at the other one like it was supposed to do something. And um and so I see all this and I think, man, this is cool. And then the group to my left, the group of youngsters who are talking about how much it's their first time, whatever, stand up and go over to the man dancing in the center with the little kid on his shoulders. And they ask him, "Hey, dude, listen, listen, we're a little nervous, no, no, no." And at this point, I just see like their body language, and it looks like they're saying this, like they're like, "Oh yeah." They're like explaining something, and then he looks at them like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," like he knows what they're saying. And then they're like, "So, like this, like what do we do?" And the dude's like, "Take it easy, sit down, play, have a good time." And they're like, "We want a blanket." They said like, and so the dude goes over to his picnic spot, which is right by the dudes with like the one cornrow, right? And he goes over there because he has his backpack there, and he's looking through it, and he pulls out this blanket for the group of youngsters, and he gives it to them, and they go over to the water where the little girl is playing with the multiplying puppet, and they put the blanket down there, and they're just laying on it, just laughing and talking now, right? And the little girl comes up to them, and she asks them if they want to play with her. She like gives them one piece of the puppet, and they say no, no, thank you. And the girl says, "Oh, come on, I really want someone to play with." And they say, "No, no, no, thank you." And the little girl then gets up and just starts moving toward the music, like there's something there for her. And I'm just looking at her because she must be like 7 or 8, um, and and it's interesting to see this. Like it's interesting to see someone just have this much going on in their lives when they're 7 or 8 years old. I mean, me at 7 years old, I don't know what I was thinking about, man. Transformers. That's what I was thinking about, right? And and yeah, she's just moving towards the music, and she has her puppet in her hand, um, and she goes over to the music, sees the kid on the man's shoulders because he's back there, and she breaks the puppet in half, gives it to the man, and shows like up, up, like give this to him, and he gives it to his son. And now they're looking at each other, each holding a half of this puppet, just dancing in this like techno rave music. And it's just them, right? They're just focused one's focused on the other, and that's it. She's like 7 or 8. He must be like, I don't know, 3 or 4. And it's this awesome moment because it's like, man, I don't know, there's so much going on, you know. And this is 10 minutes, and this is the lives of 4 people, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It is, man. Call me when you need a friend. I'll be on my way. I'll hop on a train, baby. And I didn't know what to say, but I really wouldn't want it any other way. It's been so long since you come back home. Oh, I want you to stay. I feel the things I haven't said that I cannot say. Oh, well, I like these notes. So that was a little freestyle, man. Maybe I might do something with this later. But have a good one.